Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. In this episode, number 77, we're going to talk about focusing on the shot, lessons from the firing line. And this is a guaranteed way to either increase your hits or increase your misses, and you have a choice. So without further ado, here we go. All right, so we just got back from the Moving Target Clinic, and that class went great. Some things that we teach down there really do apply to precision shooting, and we test the students a lot of times, but we don't really tell them why. And in training, one of the things that I've learned to do is first give them the opportunity to experience the trouble, then show them the correction. And the lights just seem to go on better. So in other words, we're not intentionally setting someone up to fail, but a lot of times we'll set targets up. We'll have them shoot a stage, but we won't really tell them anything about it. For example, we have some paper targets that are very specific for training, and we'll have them shoot the targets on there. They really don't know what we're teaching. They're just naturally shooting. Then we'll explain to them, hey, there's ways to do better at this. And then off they'll go to the races, do a much better job. And when you're shooting, it's really no different, especially when you're engaging targets in real world. And so I thought this was a great opportunity to go into what we consider lessons from the firing line and really highlight something that costs a lot of shooters, some points in matches, misses on big game hunts, and just trouble while they're trying to work on groups or loads at home. And this is focusing on the shot. So let me explain what we did to the students and what we do sometimes here at the school, and then I'll explain to you how it really messes with them. So when we were teaching the Moving Target class, it just finished up in Georgia. By the way, we have a new class in November online. You can register if you'd like to join us. Love to have you. Great time, great barbecue, lots of great shooting, 10-inch moving targets powered by human feet, which is awesome. We can sort of train in different ways. But so they're 10-inch balloons, and they're in motion. If we have the students, so for example, we have them shooting individual balloons as they come out, and we let them sort of learn what that lead is and how that the follow through works and when to pull the trigger. And there's sort of like a rinse and repeat type thing that you'll learn to do in shooting movers. And once we get them onto that, without saying anything else, we'll launch 3 targets per shooter and watch the misses. And we'll do it again. Each shooter will get a run at this twice. And then I'll stop them, and I'll ask them, how many of you were looking at the other 2 targets, thinking about them while you were focused on the first one? And you could see their eyes light up because they're tracking the targets. Once they have 3 that is theirs, all of a sudden they're distracted. They're trying to get this one, but in the back of their mind, they're already thinking about the second one. And it costs them misses like crazy. A perfect example would be when we were doing multiple targets earlier. So we would tell the firing line, hey, the entire line's open. You pick your target because there's multiple targets moving, whichever one you pick and shoot. And if that one pops a balloon, of course, move on to the next one. Their percentage of hits were high. The reason being is they weren't looking for other balloons. They picked their balloon that was in motion or their target, and they stayed with that until they shot, and then they would go find another one. But as soon as you put 3 of them up in a row, where they have to shoot the first one, the second one, the third one, before they finish crossing the line, all of a sudden they're focusing on multiple things, and you really can't do that. You sort of have to prioritize what you're going to shoot. A really good example would be if you're taking a written test. If you're focusing on what your grade is going to be while you're taking the test, it's a distraction from taking the test. You're probably going to score lower. Another example would be people shooting groups. They're not thinking about and focusing on 100% of their effort on that one shot. They're focusing on the group of 5. And so they're already thinking, am I going to blow this one? I got to get 2 more in there. You have to stop. Think about hunters that are already planning their miss before they squeeze the trigger on the first shot. They're trying to think about the quick follow-up shot. And you stop. You have to focus on one shot at a time. 100%. Same thing happens in matches with multiple targets that come up. So you have to go to a stage where there's 2 or 3 or 4 different targets. The problem is you're a distracted shooter. You're already thinking about the dope, and you've got all these other things in your mind, and you're already racing to the next target before you even finish squeezing the trigger. So the best advice I can give you, and this works really well with movers, is all of a sudden, we bring this up and we say, okay, stop. Don't look at the other targets until you're ready to shoot at them. You pick that target. You give it 100% of your focus, then move on to the next one. And then all of a sudden, it's like bang, pop, bang, pop, bang, pop. It works that well. Another great example, I like to ride a motorcycle. And if you take, the fundamentals of riding a motorcycle, there's lots of things that you have to do right to stay on the road. But think about a motorcyclist that's in the middle of a turn going to the left and already thinking about the next turn going to the right. He's distracting himself from all the things that he should be doing to maintain his curve through that turn, maintain control of the motorcycle, balance and speed. You're focused on, all of a sudden you think, okay, well, in the next turn, I'm going to start going to the right. You start doing that in the middle of a turn, you're asking for trouble. It's not going to be a very pretty turn, and you might startle yourself. The bike gets wobbly, or all of a sudden you're like, ooh, back to focusing on the turn that you're in because something didn't work the way you wanted it to, or you started to float a little bit, right? So focus on one shot at a time and give it 100%. Put the blinders on. Think about that horse that has those blinders on. We have Amish in Pennsylvania, and they have horses on the road, and they put those blinders on so the horse can only focus on what's directly in front of it. It's not seeing everything that's going on around it. Put your blinders on, focus on that target before you move to engage the next, and then focus on that one completely. And you'll be surprised. You have a choice in this. You have a choice to either increase your hit percentages or decrease your hit percentages. You actually have a choice. So you can either be a distracted shooter who's trying to multitask, which you can't do. You can multitask like you can wash dishes and listen to music, yes. But you can't multi-focus. You have to focus on one thing at a time. So if you're really into shooting and you want to shoot well and you want to hit the targets on the first shot, which is the most important one, then give it your all. Don't think about the next shot until it's time. Don't think about the follow-up shot on that big game animal until you miss or something happened. Or you hit it once, a good shot, and now you're going to shoot it again for a good second follow-up shot. But don't already be planning it. What happens is they don't finish the shot. So they're already distracted. They yank the trigger. They're working the bolt. And they're thinking about all these things to hurry up and get to the next target. And it costs them dearly. And so I thought it was a great example. But shooting movers is one of my favorite places to be. It's, I'm on the firing line. I'm teaching. And we have the other half in the pits with another instructor that's running the pits. And, of course, we have another person with us on the line helping. And it's the smell of gunpowder, the cracking of rifles, the balloons, hits happening. That is my place to be. It is one of my favorite places to be. And it's actually one of my favorite subjects to teach because once you learn to do this, it applies to so many different areas in shooting. Not all big game animals are going to stand still all the time. Not all matches are stagnant anymore. So you could be presented with movers quite often. And so we have different formulas that we teach and we use, and it's just a really fun time. And they're 10-inch balloons, which I find amazing. You put a 10-inch target at 600 yards stationary in real-world conditions with wind and all the other things that happen, how many guys can hit it consistently? And then you think about that balloon in motion, walking now. All of a sudden it just got a lot harder, but now they're hitting it, and it's just amazing. So we had a great time, but while I was there, this is something that sticks, and we teach it at the shooting school as well, but we have a different technique. But it was really fun to sort of set them up for failure first, presenting them with the targets and knowing what they're going to do. And then explaining to them, hey, here's the problem, don't focus on what's the next shot. Don't focus on trying to keep track of where the other targets are at. You have to focus and finish the shot on the one that you're on. And then, of course, we used the examples when we opened the lineup. Targets were moving everywhere, and they got to choose whichever one. They weren't looking at 2 or 3 targets while they were trying to shoot the one they picked. When we gave them the choice and they focused on one, they hit it. When we gave them 3 at the same time, they tried to focus on a lot of things, and they had a lot more misses. So I hope that helps a lot. It helps a lot in matches to stay focused on one shot at a time. That's how these matches are won. And it works on hunting, hyper focus. It works on shooting, if you want to do load work and groups at the range, forget about the group. It's just one shot at a time. The end result will be what it will be if you do a good job 5 times in a row. And so it's 5 good shots. And the only way you can get 5 good shots downrange is to focus 100% on each individual shot and not worry about the group. I think that's important. So I do want to take a quick break here and say thank you to Trigger Tech and to Krieger Barrels and MDT. They're all great sponsors of the show. They really help make this show possible. So Krieger Barrels, just makers of fine cut rifle barrels. They offer a couple new programs. They have their KriegerDirect.com, where you can go on and actually buy barrels readily made in inventory and have them in 2 to 3 days. They also have their sales section, where you can go on and find just random barrels that have been posted up that might work for a project that you're on. So I think it's a great resource. World-class barrels in stainless steel, that's what we use here. That's all we've used. We've had a great working relationship with them for decades. Just great people, great family-run business, and quality product. The other thing is, we use Trigger Tech triggers here, and we get fielded this question a lot as to why, and we just believe in them. They're great triggers. There's one screw to adjust it, so you're not going to get yourself in trouble adjusting multiple screws. They're a safe trigger with the roller design and the way that it can self-clean and clean out the dirt, because in Georgia, we were shooting in sand. And, of course, we allowed muzzle brakes there because we had room to spread everybody out outdoors. And you get sand and dirt and debris in some of these triggers and they stop, it's going to cost you. So we use it here, and, we wouldn't allow them to even be a sponsor of the show if we didn't believe in their product and actually use it ourselves. So triggertech.com for fantastic replacement triggers. And last but not least, MDT chassis. And we get fielded this question a lot as well. MDT is a big corporation, and they're growing. They are huge as far as what they're got coming down the pike, from new chassis they're going to be coming out that we're anxiously waiting for, to really just producing in higher quantity, high quality stocks. So there are a lot of stock makers out there, and we can name a gazillion of them, but it's not about that stock so much as it's about the consistency and the quality of all the stocks. And so one of the things that we were talking about with MDT is that they are super high quality stocks, but they're also a big corporation, so they can make a lot of them. And so they get busy or get popular, and all of a sudden you can't get one for a year. I mean, they're growing right, and they're doing a great job. We use them here at the shooting school. We have several here now, and we're anxiously awaiting some of the new ones that are coming out. Some carbon fiber, some new designs and patents that they purchased. So really big things are coming with those guys. We want to thank them too for sponsoring the podcast here as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us here at the show. This podcast is a little short, but it's actually really important. And so we see it all the time. We teach it here at the Long Range Shooting School, but it's really easy to teach at the movers because of how quickly and easily it is to distract the shooters. And without them really thinking about it, or us telling them, hey, we're going to distract you. And all of a sudden we just change how they shoot, or the presentations or the targets, or give them multiple targets, and all of a sudden their percentage of hits just bottom. And that's why. This is really, really important. It's helped a lot with me with matches as well through the years in the past, that you almost get tunnel vision on that target, and you don't think about anything else until the bullet hits it. Everything's on that one shot. And then you hurry up and get to the next one and focus on that one. But don't think about the second shot until you get the first one down. One of the greatest pieces of advice I was told by John Markwell many, many years ago, it had to have been 2 decades now, is I heard him say once, you can't miss fast enough to win a match. And that is so true. We have targets that we train here with to teach that. But in the end, that's really the essence of it, is slow down, make each shot count. So it's, if you have a 10-shot drill, for example, I'd rather see the guy shoot 6 shots and get 6 hits than the guy that blazes, all in 10 rounds downrange and has 10 misses. That's the concept. And how you do that is you don't shoot 6 targets, you shoot 1 target 6 times. That's the best way I can sum that up, is you're shooting 1 target 6 times. You don't go on or be thinking about the next one. You're shooting 1 target, and then you're resetting. You're shooting 1 target, then you're resetting, and you're shooting 1 target. So hopefully it helps. So send me an email or shoot me some feedback on if you get a chance to practice this. And if it gives you a little bit of helping hand, I'd like to hear from you. If you have any questions, please, again, feel free to reach out to us. Our email here is contact@wolfprecision.net. My name is Jamie Dotson. I'm your host, and you are listening to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building Podcast.